Hey folks, it's Tommy FrugalPrepper. So I want to talk a little bit about my carnivore diet and my keto journey. So for those of you who haven't watched my channel before, I've lost about 200 pounds now. I don't know, I haven't weighed in months, well, I took my weight at the doctor, but I don't remember what it was. But around 200 pounds now. It's been a journey. It's been a few years, and I have fallen on and off the keto wagon. And then I've been carnivore since about April till about a month and a half ago. I was pretty much pure carnivore, although I always had some green beans, some broccoli, occasionally had some veggies, but mostly I was carnivore. And so, you know, I used to be 458 or 456 pounds. I used to be extremely diabetic. I was on 300 units of insulin a day, fast and slow acting insulins, and I still had A1Cs in the 14s. I was following the American Diabetic Association diet as close as possible and having my whole grains and my oats and my bananas. And it just made me fatter and sicker than I'd ever been in my entire life. I had the beginnings of gout. I had arthritis in my feet. I had neuropathy. I had all kinds of problems, and it just felt like crap every day. I hated when I had to park far away and walk across the parking lot. You know, it was painful. My knees hurt. And so all that has gotten better and gone away. I now go on walks. And so some of my walks were 10 miles. And so things were going really well. I've always had high blood pressure, and so when I went on carnivore, my blood pressure started going way down. I lost like another 50-60 pounds, and my blood pressures went down to the 150 to 170 range, and I was happy with that. And I said, yep, I'm not worrying about it anymore. The doctor that I had at the time, it dropped me, but I'm now seeing my doctor that I had before the last doctor, who called me up after my stroke and was like, hey, we got thing from the hospital, you had a stroke, do you want to come in? I'm like, yes, I need a doctor right now and I want to come and see him. And I don't know why I never really thought to go back to him, because he's a good doctor. He's actually a physician's assistant, and he's actually really good, and he listens to me and he takes his time. And he's not completely anti-keto or anti-carnivore either, so he's doing pretty good, and I'm really happy to have him. And I'm glad, you know, he didn't even realize he had dropped me, or I had dropped him as my doctor and taken on someone else who dropped me. And then when that doctor dropped me, I was seeing all of these specialists, gastroenterologists, cardiologists, nephrologists, all kinds of ologists, and they kept giving me treatments and medicines that weren't working, weren't helping. And I was just like, you know what? This doctor, who's my new regular doctor, he was like 5 minutes from my house, where this doctor is in another town and I have to drive a little ways to go see him. And so he sent me that letter and dropped me, and I was like, you know, I'm done with doctors. You know, I'm just done with them. So I had an eye surgeon, and I got expensive eye shots that were $2,000 in every other eye every other month. It was a mess. So I am seeing that doctor again now. So like I said, I had a stroke. So my blood pressure, like I said, 150s, 170s, I was fine. I didn't want to see the doctor, and I didn't take my blood pressure for months. And I got really lightheaded. Things started spinning. I had to sit down. I couldn't stand up without falling over. And I started puking at work. I called my boss. He came out and he called the ambulance. The ambulance took my blood pressure, and it was 260 over something. And so at first they thought, oh, you're just having a hypertensive crisis. We're going to take you to the hospital. They did a CAT scan. They had a neurologist talk to me over this like computerized screen robot thingy. I don't know what it was, but he did like a remote consult, and he said, yeah, you're having a stroke. And we did the CAT scan, so we know it's not the bleeding kind of a stroke. And so you're able to take a medicine. It's a clot buster. I forget the name of it. They said the name of it. And it said, there's a 6% chance, though, that if you take it, you'll die. And I thought, well, I don't want to die, no. And he just explained that I'm having a stroke, but I'm still at what is probably the beginning of that stroke. And it's probably going to get way worse before it gets any better. And it could last for a long time. And I could lose control of my body, being able to do anything if that clot moves to different parts of the brain. And so I kind of thought I'd rather be dead than be an invalid. So I want the medicine. So they gave me some blood pressure medication intravenously that worked. In like 5 minutes, they got my blood pressure down below 180 systolic, which they had to get it down that far to give me the clot buster. They gave me the clot buster, and I won't say that it made anything better. I still was spinning, I still wasn't, but it stopped getting worse. In its tracks, just like right now. So they put me in the intensive care unit. I was there for a few days. I wasn't able to get out of bed for 8 hours after I had the clot buster. And they kept wanting me I had to pee, and they gave me this plastic thing to pee in. I'm like, I can't pee in the plastic thing. My brain says you have to pee, but you're not peeing in bed in a plastic thing, And they said, well, you can't get out of bed. So I laid there and held it for 8 hours. And 8 hours and 1 minute, I'm like, it's been 8 hours. I can get up and go to the potty, right? Yeah. So they got me a walker and helped me over to the potty, and I went to the potty, and it was great. But I saw double at first, so everything I looked at, there was two of them. I was looking at the TV on the wall, and I saw two TVs, so I had to close one eye to see one TV. And at first, I was having a real hard time focusing on things, even close-up things. And within a few days, I started being able to see close-up and not seeing double, but I was still seeing double far away. And that's just slowly progressed and gotten better to where my vision's pretty much normalized now. And I had real problems with like keeping my balance when I would walk. At first, I just had to have a walker to get anywhere and go really slow. And then luckily our house was set up with like shower handles and bathroom handles and all kinds of like those special handicap handles. It has a ramp because it belonged to my wife's parents, who needed that stuff before, we inherited the house. So we had all that stuff. We had a walker, and so I just started making myself get up and walk with the walker. I made myself come out here and wash the dishes, even though it was hard for me to stand up and keep my balance at the sink. I just made myself keep active every day. And within a week or two, I was going down the basement steps, really slowly at first, I didn't sit down on the steps, but I was like, turn sideways, take a step down, hold on. But now I can just run down the basement steps like normal. My balance started to come back. I still have a little trouble with balance if I'm walking and I look to the left. I don't lose my balance anymore, but I feel it. I feel like, oh, I'm getting a little lightheaded if I look to the left. But looking to the right's fine. And that's just the way that I have handled that is I have these stretches that I do in physical therapy. And as I do those stretches, I lay down, and I do them at home too. But I lay down, and when I'm doing the stretches, I look to the left, and things start spinning at first when I'm laying down looking left. they don't really spin anymore, but I feel it a little bit. But they would spin, and then I look to the right, and they would spin. I look to the left, and in between those stretches, I just keep moving my head back and forth, and it's just gotten to where my brain's learning that it's not spinning and falling down. I can't explain it. So, and then I have these other things I do where I stand on a foam pad and I have to keep my balance. Put my feet together and keep my balance on this foam pad. And then I look up and I look down. And then I look to the left and I look to the right. And then what's still hard but getting easier is when I close my eyes. So my brain uses my vision a lot to tell if it's imbalanced or not, because it's getting mixed signals from my inner ear. You know, it's getting static, basically. It's not hearing those signals clearly, or it's hearing the wrong signal, and it has to relearn how to process those signals. The inner ears are making the right signal, the brain has to learn how to listen to them and process them again. So yeah, now I'm going through, I close my eyes and I have to feel like I'm not spinning and falling over. And I used to just sit like right here and close my eyes, and I would start to be like, whoa, I feel kind of weird. But now I can sit and close my eyes. But standing up on the foam pad, keeping my balance and closing my eyes is a little different story. But it gets easier every time I do it. So that's what I'm going through with my stroke. I am starting to drive just a little bit again with another person, and getting that under control. The thing is like driving doesn't seem to affect me as much as like walking. Like I can drive, I can back up, I can pull forward, I can turn, and I don't ever get dizzy or feel out of place. As soon as I stand up out of the car and try to walk, I feel a little dizzy. So, you know, it's just one of those things. But I'm just going to take it slow and drive with someone else on some non-congested roads and parking lots and make sure I take it slow and make sure I'm doing good as I do that. So in the hospital, they took my A1C and it came back at a 10. So I went back on the metformin, right? I went back on just the metformin for the A1C. And my doctors, we've been working on getting my blood pressure under control because it's just been very hard to get it under control. Right now, it's running 150s to 170s again on all this medication. Occasionally, I take a reading and it's like 190. I don't know why, but usually 150s to 170s. So, and we just increased one of my medication, or two of my medications, so we're gonna try that. But I take, so I'm on Metoprolol 50 milligrams twice per day. I'm on this one, it's called Losartan, 100 milligrams, and I take one tablet by mouth once a day. I am on tamsulosin. I don't know what this stuff is, but I take one capsule by mouth once a day. I am on clonidine, and I take, this is a 0.2 clonidine tablet, and I take it twice a day. I was taking a 0.1 anytime it was over 160. I was supposed to take the 0.1 to get it down, and then it was always over 160, so I always took it. But then I accidentally took two of them, and my blood pressure came down closer to normal. So he decided to increase the dose to see if that helps yesterday. So the Losartan they increased yesterday, the clonidine they increased yesterday, and my nifedipine, I'm on nifedipine 60 twice a day. I was on 30 twice a day before yesterday. I'm on this Farxiga, and it is one tablet by mouth once a day, and this is for like some kidney stuff and or blood sugar stuff too, I think. I don't know. But they put me on it and I'm taking it. My CoQ10, I have to take a baby aspirin every day, and my levels are good enough with the aspirin that I don't have to take the Plavix anymore. And all of this stuff causes me to be constipated like crazy. I mean, I was taking the losartan when I started taking that. It made me so constipated. I've never been that constipated in my life. I thought I was going to have another stroke trying to push that out. I mean, it was bad. It took 3 days. And I took Miralax. I take a calcium citrate tablet every day. I did everything in the world to try to get, oh man, it was bad. The Miralax didn't help. The stool softeners, I took some stool softeners, that didn't help. I finally took X-Lax, and on my second dose of X-Lax, my second dose of 2 pills, it finally started moving. And so I do take X-Lax as I need to take it, but I've also changed my diet to help that. And we'll get into the diet here in a minute. So why is my blood pressure just constantly been so hard to keep under control? I mean, I'm on a lot of medications, very powerful medications, and it's still too high. It's because of lead. And I have this stuff, D-lead. So I did a video on how I'm dealing with lead contamination, but I have lead poisoning. Uncontrolled hypertension is a symptom, or the number one symptom of that adult lead exposure is uncontrollable hypertension. And I have it. And so I've used this. This is a laundry soap. And I use D-lead. So for those of you who don't know, I shoot a lot. I shoot a lot of guns. A lot of ammunition. I go pick up brass at the ranges that allow me to pick up brass. I go to, my main range won't allow me to pick up brass anymore, but the other ranges I go to still allow me to pick up. Even some of them have a no pickup rule, but they're like, Tom, you can pick up, you know. And the outdoor ranges I shoot at allow me to pick up. And I reload, I polish that brass in a tumbler. It leaves dust. I breathe in the dust, and that's all full of lead. There's lead in the primers, lead in the indoor ranges where I'm shooting, and I'm just constantly exposed to lead. And I also am an auto mechanic, which is a high risk lead contamination area. And I'm also doing a lot of electronic repair with solder. I mean, I go through 2 or 3 rolls of solder a week, a lot of times when I'm doing electrical repairs. And I'm always like pulling that out of the tube with my mouth and I'm breathing in the fumes, and I'm not wearing gloves. So lead. And a lot of times I would shoot for hours and hours, and I would just come out and eat and drink and smoke a cigarette. And go back in and start shooting. And yeah, I smoked. I don't smoke anymore. Nothing like having a stroke to help you deal with the nicotine cravings. Smoking was the dumbest thing I ever done in my life. So, I also have this D-lead hand. So I'm dealing with that to get the lead under control. I'm hoping once the lead's under control, the blood pressure will start to get under better control, and I will be able to go or reduce some of these medications. But right now, I want my blood pressure as low as possible so I don't have another stroke. It's been a real challenge to get through this stroke, and I have to live with some permanent numbness and tingling on the side of my face, although it is getting better now. But numbness and tingling in my arm, fine motor skills in my arm are a little worse than they used to be, but they've gotten better. And some numbness and tingling in my right leg, and not lifting it up high enough when I walk. But I'm getting used to being able to do that. I just have to walk a little different. I have a little harder of a time chewing. Like gristly chuck roast, I have to cut that up in tiny pieces now to chew it and swallow it. And I have a little harder time swallowing. So where I used to just tear up a 4-pound chuck roast, now I have to take it slower and chew it and really, take it a lot slower. But all in all, that's okay. I mean, there's people who have strokes who are unable to speak for the rest of their life, so I'm really glad that that's all that happened. So my diet, how has that changed? So I used to eat chuck roast and bacon and eggs primarily. I mean, I was just all meat all the time. And so I still eat a lot of meat. I still eat a lot of chuck roast, a lot of meat. But I have had to add salads to primarily deal with this constipation issue. The salads keep me moving. They keep me going once a day. And they make it easy to go. And I don't need to be straining with my high blood pressure and have another stroke. I don't need the pain, and all the cramps associated with that. I don't need that. Like I said, it was the worst constipation I ever had in my life. I didn't know constipation like that existed for humans. So I eat the salad and it keeps me regular. I just make my salad with iceberg lettuce, some peppers, some onions, some carrots, a little cabbage, and I put some cheese on it, and I put on some chicken or ham or turkey, put that on there, and I make a dressing with avocado oil mayonnaise that I make myself. I put a little bit of green tomato relish in it, and I pulverize it with the mixer, and I put a little milk in it to thin it out and make a dressing out of it. It's good. It's made with whole ingredients, that I know what's in it. And so I eat a nice salad once a day. And I'm eating more of the keto meals, the spaghetti squash meals. I have a keto chili that I make. I have keto type of meals. I'm including more vegetables than ever. I'm including some mushrooms. When I fry up my eggs, I put some mushrooms, maybe some green onions in there. And, so I'm eating more plants than I used to. And honestly, I'm doing good. So they took my A1C. It's back down to a 6.1. So that's good. I'm feeling great. I'm still losing weight. I'm getting better, and my body's healing. My brain's repairing itself. Like I said, I'm starting to drive. I'll probably be back to work within a month. So I'm happy. And right now, that's what's working for me, is to go on a very meat-heavy but keto diet. And a very pure, clean keto diet, in that I'm not having ketogenic breads and keto donuts and keto snack cakes and keto potato chips or anything like that. I am just making sure they're whole foods. No seed oils, absolutely not. There's no unclean things, but that just works. This diet seems to work better for me than Carnivore did. Carnivore worked great. I think because I was coming from a very dirty keto to a very clean Carnivore diet, that really helped purify things and get them moving in the right direction. But right now, with all these medications that I have to take, and this keto is working better for me. And so I'm sticking with that. I don't have anything against Carnivore. I think Carnivore is great, and I wish I could do a pure Carnivore, but when you can't poop, you gotta do something, and right now the losartan is constipating me, but it's the one medication, and trust me, I have a filing cabinet full of 60 different medications, blood pressure medications that different doctors have tried that haven't worked. The losartan is working. So I want to keep taking that to keep my blood pressure down. But anyway, that's where I'm at with my stroke and my diet. And I'm reloading ammo and shooting guns quite a bit. The reloading ammo really helps my fine motor skills over here. It really helps me rebuild those. And like I said, I have a video on how I reload the ammo and avoid the lead exposure. And I'm just doing that right now. I'm on disability from work. I have a disability thing, so I'm getting payments from some New York company, and I have to fill out a bunch of paperwork and submit stuff to my doctor every couple weeks and have him fill out and send in paperwork. But I'm getting it done, and they're mailing the checks. But it's a nightmare to do that stuff. But like I said, I'm probably going to be back to work here in another month. And I am probably going, I don't know if I'm going to be back to work this year or if it's going to be like the beginning of next year, but somewhere in there, I'm going to be looking to get back to work. In a way, it's kind of nice to be at home and be able to do things at home, but in another way, it really sucks not to have anything to do. But I've made up stuff to do. I've cleaned my bedroom and washed the walls from top to bottom and cleaned the carpet, and and I've taken my time doing those different tasks, and so I'm staying busy, but I'm busy with stuff that doesn't really need to be done just because I need stuff to stay busy to teach myself. And now I need to go back to doing the real work and staying busy with that and getting good at that. So that's all I got, folks. I'll talk to y'all later. It's Tom, your Frugal Prepper.